It was just 1 week ago at the Atlanta Motor Speedway where this championship officially was decided upon as J.B. Walker's ninth top 5 finish in 11 starts secured him the inaugural series championship. However, with that being said, there's still one race up for grabs and plenty of spots in the points will hang in the balance into tonight's contest. Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to MIS, the Irish Hills of Michigan. We bring you to the virtual Michigan International Speedway, where on this 2-mile D-shaped oval, we prepare for the highest speeds on the season and with the most up for grabs. Fittingly so. We bring you topside to LSRTV's virtual broadcast booth tonight on LSRTV and iRacing Live alongside myself, Evan Pizzocco, joined by Gabriel Wood and our executive producer, Laura Lawson, down in the production hall are keeping us on the air tonight, Gabe. One race left, and there's two ways you can look at this. We talk about the championship being secured into tonight's race. Jamie Walker, 57 points ahead of second, which is Cody Gibson. So we can consider this anticlimactic because that top spot in the championship has already been determined upon. Or what I'm looking forward to for the next 105 laps is that only one spot in the points has been determined upon. So still a lot in the balance for the guys racing tonight.
Yeah, Evan, great to be up here in the booth tonight with you. If you look at the top four, Jamie Walker, he's wrapped up the championship last week, but we have second, third, and fourth. Second is only 4 points ahead of Tommy Ryan in the third position, and then a couple points back is Aaron Bennett. So Aaron Bennett, he clinched the championship last night in the Xfinity Series, so a lot left for these guys to race for tonight.
There is a lot on the line, and it is going to be one of the longer races we have seen on the season. We get set for 105 laps. That's 210 miles tonight in the Pure Michigan 200. This racetrack, 2-mile D-shaped oval. It is a very large racetrack, and we talk about the speeds being the highest. Well, one might not understand that at a first look, but because there's no restrictor plates on these trucks, they're going to be getting up there in speeds. You're talking about a racetrack with 18 degrees of banking, but the thing that I love about Michigan, which, by the way, I think is a spectacular fit, if you tell me which kind of stock car you want to put on this track, I'll tell you trucks. Trucks at this track are fun, which means that I think they're going to be using a lot of the width of the racetrack that's available to them to try to spread things out, to get aggressive. Another thing to look at, though, you're looking at about 13 drivers so far that have put down a lap in qualifying, maybe about 20 drivers total. So, although it's a racetrack that allows these guys to get at each other, Gabe, the lower number of trucks, relatively speaking, can allow us for a race that can go green a long way and make it really a strategy-based competition.
Yeah, great thing about these trucks, they got so much downforce and not that much horsepower compared to the other two race cars in NASCAR's top division. For the first 5 laps or so, they're going to be close to wide open through 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So, and then there's going to be the factors of they can run multiple lanes, pretty much the entire run during the race. But yeah, the tire wear, it's going to be affecting which line you run. If you run the outside lane, you're putting a little bit less strain on your tires, but you're going to be racing a lot more up there. But then running the inside lane, you're going to run quicker and you're going to run harder. So it's going to be kind of weighing the differences in lines for these guys throughout tonight.
The single truck individual qualifying session draws to a close here, and again, we're glad to have you with us on this Saturday night on LSRTV through iRacing Live. It's the final race of the inaugural United Sim Racing Truck Series campaign, and a Pure Michigan 210 just about getting set to go. So as the qualifying clock strikes 0 and the field gets set to hit the grid for tonight's event, we'll rack them and stack them for you, let you know where they'll line up for tonight's race. We take a look at the LSRTV starting grid. It'll be a pole position for the driver of the number 15. That'll be a pole position for Ricky Harden. His lap of a 39.184. Good enough to top the scoring pylon. He will lead us to the green flag tonight, and no surprise, the driver that will start alongside him in second, it's your championship winning driver, the 17 of Jamie Walker. Rhett McBride going to be on the inside of row number 2. That's the number 3 starting spot for the driver of the 2 truck. Cody Gibson, top side, still in the conversation, trying to defend second in points, is 4th on track, and Aaron Bennett, 4th in points into tonight. He wants to walk away with the top 3 when it's all said and done. He's got a pretty good starting spot inside on row number 3. It's P5 for the 33 truck.
First car outside the top 5, the outside of row number 3 is going to be the 91 of Steve Galchak. Number 68, Scott Simley, is going to be in 7th. He's going to be your first car outside that 39.3 bracket. So a lot of close racing with these guys, a lot of close times in qualifying. The number 6, Tommy Ryan, he's going to finish in. He's going to qualify in 8th. 39 of Salicardi, he's going to be in 9th, and 44 of Ryan Bible, he's in the 10th position with a 39.405.
5 additional drivers put down a time in qualifying tonight. It'll be a P11 for the driver of the 22. That is Greg Mall. He'll be alongside Jeff Gilmore, topside, starting in 12th position. To the bottom of the next row in the number 13 starting position, it is Richard Lafferty's number 97 Chevrolet. He'll be joined by Chris Baines in 14th on row number 7. And final driver to put down a time in qualifying and inside of row number 8, the driver in 15th spot. It's the 95 of Joe Dinsmore.
Number 24 in 16th position, first car to not take time during qualifying, is James Krawhalla, and the number 100 of Ryan Case. He was fastest in practice earlier tonight, so he's going to line up in the 17th position. 75, Rusty Farrell in 18th. Daniel E. Eberhardt in the number 89, he's going to be 19th. Last few starting positions, David W. Gibson in the number 20, or in the 20th position, Steve Herring in the 21st position, and the final starter tonight is the 00 of Bertel Surfez in 22nd position.
We mentioned a lower truck count, so it could spread out, but that does not mean that turns 1 and 2 going to be all that safe on the opening lap. 2 drivers elect to throw away their qualifying positions and start from pit road. James Krahula was slated to start in 16th. He'll start on the pit lane. Daniel E. Eberhardt, who was slated to start in 19th, he will as well take the green flag. After these drivers get up to speed down in turns number 1, he'll exit the pit stall. And just like that, that'll put you about a half a lap behind. It is a conservative move, but if this race goes green, it takes you out of any sort of hopeful contention to do anything here tonight. We've seen 4 races so far towards the end of the year on LSRTV. All of them seemed like they were going to be normal, a twist at the end, and they have been absolutely spectacular racing. We expect to see the same thing tonight. So we're glad to have you with us with LSRTV on iRacing Live, and we hope you enjoy this one. The American Childhood Cancer Organization, a pace car down and away to the safety of the pit lane, and it's the Michelin Chevrolet into the tri-oval. Green flag flies, and we're racing at MIS, the Pier Michigan 210, underway for the season finale. And all these drivers going to get these guys up to full song, pretty much 2 wide throughout the entire pack in 1 and 2. Inside, 1 small advantage. The 15 car gets clear. Ricky Harden leader at a turn number 2. The battle for P2 behind him. The 17 of Jamie Walker topside, and Rhett McBride to the bottom.
Side-by-side racing down the back straightaway. Everybody's trying to find their place in line, get as many positions off the start as they can. Everybody seems to be running that outside lane. You got the top 3 cars that kind of run in the middle lane. 17, he's going to take it low. He's going to try and get the lead. He's going to try and lead the first lap as they come through the tri-oval.
And lap 1 goes into the books. That number 15 of Harden had the lead down in turns number 1 and 2. That 17, though, to the inside the second time he go through. That is evidently the preferred position. He'll be able to get the spot. Not a good entry by Harden. Checks him up into the corner. He'll get a good run off, and a good job by the 7 of Cody Gibson. Check it up to not get into the back of him. Single file inside of the top 4, top 5 spots down the backstretch. First fight behind him going on is P6. Steve Gottschalk's number 97. The Nerfinator, the Nerf Chevrolet inside of the racetrack. Try to make the move on the Battlefield 4 entry. That's the 68 of Scott Simley, who's trapped topside.
Yeah, the 39, he's going to take advantage of it, see if he can get past 2, but 91, he's going to check up there on the inside, so that leaves the 39 nowhere to go. And the 68 of Scott Simley, he's going to try and get the momentum going into 1.
Back down to turn 1, diving it in all the way down to the yellow line for those drivers on the inside of the racetrack. So that battle goes on outside the top 5. Battle for second, though. The number 15 of Ricky Harden had the bottom preferred lane, but the truck not good enough to be able to hold that spot. He now drops back to 4th because the 7 of Cody Gibson makes the move topside into turn 1. The 2 car followed through as well. So Rhett McBride made that pass on the topside in turn number 2 as well. So that battle inside of the top 5 continues on. We look back in 15th position. The driver of the 97, Richard Lafferty, back 2 spots right now. He's got a bird's eye view of everything going on in front of him. Couple of sets of drivers, 2 wide, looks like about 3-4 rows deep around P10.
Yeah, Richard Lafferty trying to get the fender there on the number 95 of Joe Dinsmore. He's not going to get it this time. Expect a lot of these guys try and dive, get the momentum, get the inside, and push up, trying to do that old slide job before the guy can use that momentum on the outside.
A 60% fuel cell is going to be a major indicator on what these drivers are going to be having to do fuel-wise and strategy-wise in this race, because 105 laps at Michigan, it's no walk in the park. It is a long race for these drivers to close out their inaugural Truck Tour campaign. and they're going to have to make quite the amount of trips down to the pit lane if they want to make it to that distance. Battle for the race lead, the 17 of Jamie Walker, he's got it. The 7 of Cody Gibson wants it, and the USR Toyota of Gibson. Slide job at a turn number 2, made the move to the bottom, slid up across the nose of the 17 truck, made the pass. Walker looked to the bottom for a crossover, nothing working, and it's Cody Gibson second in the points to the race lead at lap number 5.
Third car coming into the picture, Rhett McBride. He's taking advantage of those guys racing side by side. Now he's right back on the bumper, the number 17, Jamie Walker.
He'll ride the bumper all the way down the front stretch to turn at number 1. McBride in second. He started in the number 3 spot. That's where he sits. He's trying to get second, rather, from Jamie Walker. Walker exactly where he started right there, P2. Big run, though, added turn 2. The 2 truck going to go to the inside. That is the same spot in which Jamie Walker was slowed up last lap. That's where Cody Gibson made the move on him. Now the 2 truck gets the move on him again. So the 17 Mountain Dew Chevy a little bit slow coming out of turn number 2. It's a long back straightaway. We talk about these trucks and the Xfinity cars much more so than the Gen 6 race cars for the Sprint Cup Series, being a lot more momentum based because they don't just have the horsepower to power off of these corners. You don't get a good turn 2 exit, it's going to hurt you there because you're going to be slow all the way down about 1,000 feet till you get turn number 3. That's what's hurting that 17 truck now 2 laps in a row.
Look back here around the 5th position. Tommy Ryan, he was your winner last night in the Xfinity Series, last race for the championship there. He tried to, he's moving around all over the racetrack trying to get by the number 15 of Ricky Harden, or pole sitter. He's using just about every lane. Now he's got a fender on him, see if he can keep the momentum there on the inside. But that 15, he's got the draft off the 17, so he should be able to hold on to it. And 33 of Aaron Bennett's right behind him.
And surprisingly, they end up single file to turn 1. It had an opportunity to go 3 wide. It looks like they single file about for the moment. Now the 15 looks to the bottom of the racetrack again. This fight for P3 on back. Aaron Bennett, though, the driver on the move, the Dow Chevy, started P5, lost 2-3 spots on the start of the race. He's trying to make those back up. He's P6 behind this fight that continues to go on for the final step on the podium at Michigan. The 17 truck all the way to the bottom again. The bottom, we say it's the preferred lane. It is, but it doesn't mean you can't get past topside by a faster truck. We go 3 wide as Harden slides up to the fence. He may have just grazed it, and splitting the gap and then jumping topside was Tommy Ron. What a move by the Northern Tool and Equipment Chevrolet. He might get P3 by the time they exit 2.
Scott Simley, 68, he almost took a 3 wide, thought better of it. We're only on lap 9. Not really worth that move right now. Speaking of big movers, you're talking about 33 of Aaron Bennett. The number 100, Ryan Keiss, he started 17th, and now he's back into the first position in the top 10, running 10th. So he's been taking advantage of these guys close racing, been able to get up front.
Battle for P5 on back continues. How about a battle for the race lead? The 7 Cody Gibson took over the race lead a handful of laps ago from Rhett McBride. Now the number 2 GTR Simulators Toyota wants it back. Nose to the inside to turn 1. We're going to go side by side for the top spot. And, well, not much of an objection on that one by Cody Gibson. Really off the gas early. He'll go for the better run off to try to get a challenge. He looks to the inside. He'll get to the bumper. By the time they get to turn number 3, is it enough of a run to make a move? No. You give him a tap. He'll let him know he's there, and he will sit in second. So just like that at lap number 10, Cody Gibson loses the race lead. Rhett McBride takes it over. Now the crossover in turn 4. Gibson wants it back to the bottom of the racetrack. He'll get it with a big run through 4.
Going to use that apron, taking the shortest way around. He's going to get clear. He's going to move up before that 2 has a chance to get back around him. I was looking back here. The 15, or pole sitter of Ricky Harden, he has worked his way back up into that 5th position. He made a move on Scott Simley and Steve Galtschak. So he's trying to recover from his early mistake, almost getting to the wall coming out of 4.
And a draft is a big part of these trucks at this track. We talked about how when Cody Gibson had made that move on Rhett McBride, he probably would have been able to take off at any other track, but the 2 hung there in the wake, made the move, got it back. The 7, the exact same thing back to him. That's why, although people are spread out, we're still relatively close to each other. Battle going on just inside of the top 10. It'll be for P8. Salacardi's got it. Steve Gottschalk and Rusty Farrell want it behind the 91 and the 75. Going to be side by side. That's a battle for P9 in turns number 1 and 2. Contact in front of these guys, though. It looks like, I want to say, the number 33 of Aaron Bennett The 15 of Ricky Harden may have caught each other just a little bit in turn number 2. Bennett looked like he got a little bit tight to get out of the gas, and Harden may have just given him a slight tap into the bumper. No harm, no foul between those drivers. They also race side by side inside the top 10. That one for P4.
Ricky Harden's really flirting with that outside lane. It's working for him with the momentum coming off 4, but, Evan, how long until that kind of bites him when the tires wear off and it gets a little bit tighter at the end of the run? Do you expect him to move down to just try and eliminate the factor of him getting into the wall?
We talk about the inside being the preferred lane. The inside, in theory, gives you a better opportunity of keeping it out of the fence, but if you get on the gas too early, once that truck starts to push, it pushes. But, you talk about staying out of the fence. Ricky Harden has been that close almost every single lap. Look on the door, that number 68 is Scott Simley. He's running right up there in the tire tracks of that number 15 in front of him because he's side by side. On the bottom of the racetrack to him, it's that number 100 truck of Ryan Keese, started in 17th position in P6 at the moment, and he wants to get that number 5 spot, gets the nose in front in turn 2 all the way up the hill. He'll squeeze Simley to the top side, not enough to make the move, and now the 50 to Harden, slow off the corner, 3 wide to turn 3.
The team real slow. I think he had to let off. He was running that outside lane again coming off the exit of the corner, so he probably had to let off to keep from hitting the wall like I said before. And the 100, he's almost gotten clear of that 68. We got to push. 68's getting a push from the 15 of Ricky Harden. Evan, I thought we left Talladega a week ago.
It'll be about 190 miles an hour, close by the time they get to turn number 1. The highest speeds you're seeing on the season, Michigan matching those that we saw at Talladega. And it was funny because again we said the 15, if you go to the bottom, you're further from the wall, but because he got clear, he went to the bottom and got even closer to the fence. It's all about where that truck is really rotating in the center of the corner. The 50 to Harden, much better though to get way out of the gas, lose the 2 spots, then plant it in the outside wall, fall out of this race. So although he checked up and probably heated the tires up a little bit, he lost the 2 spots, which by the way, those guys are still side by side in front of him. Ryan Keese on the bottom, he wants P4. He was 5th at the start-finish line, simply just the nose in front. That gap was about 9 one-thousandths of a second, but on the bottom, I think he's going to be able to get the job done, and he will down through turn number 2. Not going to be able to get clear, though. Small bobble challenging back outside is Scott Simley. These guys continue to go at it. 2 impressive things about Ryan Keese. We talk about the number 100 machine, 17th to 5th. Not only is that impressive, but the fact that he's passed 12 trucks, but in the fact that not only it's been all under green flag conditions, but he really hasn't lost a whole lot of time on the race leader. We'll talk about somebody outside the top 15, top 20. They passed a lot of guys, that's nice and all, but you're over 10 seconds back for the race leader. Although it's quite a gap, he is still only 2.1 seconds off the race leader. That's pretty impressive when you consider how much traffic he's had to go through.
Yeah, that whole gap between the fourth or the third and fourth place drivers, it kind of got created because the 68 and the 100 were racing so hard, and so it's really surprising how quickly he's worked his way up, and he hadn't really used all of his stuff up. If you look up toward the second and third position, the 7 of Cody Gibson and the 6 of Tommy Ryan, those are your second and third in points. So right now, if the race would end right now, Cody Gibson be the second place in the championship. So Tommy, he's really want to get by him and get as many points as he can.
And Cody Gibson has won in the last 3 races. He's been chasing down, in fact, everybody has been chasing down Jamie Walker, who has fallen to 10th position in this race, but has already locked the championship. Just because he's been so consistent. Gibson was winning races, and we talked to him a couple of weeks ago, and he said, I can show up and win, but if the 17 doesn't have any terrible nights, he can't do anything about it. Gibson now always fighting for us to defend that second place in the points. He's doing a good job of it right now, running in that number 2 position at the moment. The 22 truck into the outside fence just a little bit. That's Greg Mall, the Pennzoil Chevrolet on the bottom of the racetrack. He caught the fence at a turn number 2 this most recent time around. Not even the worst damage, though, because he already had front-end damage from before that. Makes me think that he had some contact with another truck. And I'm not very good at math normally, Gabe, but I see front-end damage on the 22 truck, and I see some rear-end damage on the 82 of Chris Baines, so something might have happened between those guys outside of the top 10.
Yeah, most likely contact between them. Probably with the way these guys are running up near the wall, he may have gotten into the wall, the 82 of Chris Baines, and the 22 just kind of couldn't check up. But, talking about the momentum earlier, Evan, he smacked the wall one time and he lost like 5 or 6 positions going down the straightaway. It was such a speed gap between the guys who ran the corner and 22 of Greg Mall.
Momentum, a big thing, and aerodynamics as well, equally as important. Ryan Keese, the driver of the number 100 Chevrolet right now, he is in P4, and again, he was much faster than Simley, Hart, and Bennett when he came flying up through there, but the big equalizer is the draft, because the 68, the 15, the 33, they are still glued to the deck late of that number 100 Chevrolet. So, I mean, they're very close to each other. Can't say I'm surprised with Ryan Keese, though, because A, he was the fastest truck in practice with a 39.204 as his best lap, so we know that he has the obvious speed to get the job done. Simley's impressive to me as well because he was a second fastest truck in practice. The guy that I'm loving right now, though, is P2 Tommy Ryan, the driver of that number 6 Chevrolet, just in front of Cody Gibson. They're actually slowly starting to fall off at the back of Rhett McBride, but those top 3 guys right now, they weren't the fastest trucks all night long. Rhett McBride was the 7th best truck in practice, qualified 3rd. Tommy Ryan was 12th best in practice and qualified 8th. And Cody Gibson's been extremely consistent tonight, 4th in practice, qualified P4 and running P3 at the moment. So the guys that were all numbers 1, 2, and 3 in the practice session, they're not inside of the top 3 at the moment. So race trim being of ever so importance here when you talk about a long green flag stretch at a track like Michigan over that hot lap speed.
Well, when you look at the practice speeds, we're not really talking about a second gap between the guys. It's, you know, like I said before, in qualifying, the top 10, they were separated by just about a tenth. So it doesn't take much to be set back with these guys so close.
We still have 18 trucks on the lead lap all the way back through. James Carhula, the driver of the number 24 Chevrolet, is 23 seconds off of the race leader. He had elected to start from the pit lane, so did Daniel E. Eberhardt. Eberhardt, though, has manually disconnected from this race. So the 89 of Eberhardt, his night is done. It looks like Salicardi is 2 laps down as well. After he had some unscheduled services earlier in the race, Brian Bible as well has fallen 1 lap to the negative. We talked about the 60% fuel cell, though. Looks like these drivers heading pit side in a moment.
Yeah, just before we hit just around lap 25, so this should give us a good picture of our fuel window right now. As should everybody take 4 tires, I don't see anybody differentiating from the pit strategy, considering these guys are so close. It wouldn't take much to be off kilter and, you know, kind of lose a bunch of time, as the 7's going to beat everybody out of pit road. The ones who pitted, the 100 is going to be right behind him, and 100 almost Ryan Case, he almost went off the apron exiting the pits, so he kind of avoided the black flag right there.
Race leader, the 2 of Rhett McBride, he brings the GTR simulators Toyota down to the pit lane to get serviced. You can anticipate it to be a 4-tire gas and go trip down to pit road, lap number 24 for your race leader. Right side tires going up, left side tires as well. So now you look at Tommy Ryan. You would expect Tommy Ryan to come in the next lap, and he will do exactly that, because if you stay out there, that means that you're giving out about maybe, 1.5, 2 seconds or so based on a hot lap speed, if not more at this racetrack, to a guy that has on fresh tires. So once the leader pits, if you even stay out 1 additional lap, you have to come down the next time by. So Tommy Ryan does that. Ricky Harden now in the number 15 truck is the next driver that stays out. He'll assume the race lead, but I wouldn't be surprised if he comes down this time as well.
But you know what, Tommy Ryan, he did something smart. I just noticed it. He 7 of Cody Gibson, he's already led a lap tonight. That puts Tommy Ryan, he has the same amount of bonus points. He has that bonus point for a lap led. So now all he really has to worry about is keeping him behind him, a few positions behind him. And if he wins the race, that just helps him even more.
And as predicted, Ricky Harden is down to the pit lane, so the leaders come through 1 every 3-4 laps in a row to get this green flag pit stop out of the way. Everybody behind them beginning to cycle through and get their services completed. Letting the guys behind them know, hey, I'm coming down to the pit lane. There's not a whole lot of an apron to dive down to on the pit lane entry, so for the most part, you're going at a slowed pace on the racing groove in 3 and 4 to be able to make it down to the pit lane. All those drivers communicating with each other kind of takes away from the surprise a little bit, but letting everybody know, hey, I don't want to get run over. We have seen that happen at this racetrack many a time in this sim. So Harden's going to get 4 tires. He'll get gas. He'll get going. Question is, where does he end up, though, when all of this cycles through? Because Cody Gibson, the guy that he's been chasing down, is already coming out of turn number 2 as he's just continuing to roll off the pit lane if you're Harding.
Yep, and that's going to cycle the 100 truck into the second position. So he's got about the same gap as he did, but pit stop problem is going to put the 2 and the 6 behind him.
Ryan Keese continues to dig. You'll see the updated standings. When we crossed the start-finish line, it was Hardin scored in front. Joe Dinsmore going to be at this moment in front of them because he was getting some service completed. But there it is, Cody Gibson back to the race lead. Ryan Keese, fastest truck here. I don't think that's much of a question. Fastest in practice. We mentioned he was 17th. He passed 12 trucks by the time he got through 20 laps, and now made up time at a cycle of green flag pit stops. A lot of the time we'll see somebody, Gabe, they got a fast truck, but they don't execute. They don't have a very good trip down to the pit lane. There are so many places here at a track like Michigan where you can gain and or lose time on a cycle of green flag pit stops. I have seen countless times somebody have a fast truck, but they lose time on the pit lane and such that they hurt themselves. Well, when you have a fast truck and you can execute, you're going to have a pretty good night. And with that, Ryan Keese closes the gap in between himself and Cody Gibson to just 1.1 seconds, both of them down in turns number 1 and 2. And they're working about a 3-second gap over Rhett McBride and company, third place on back.
Yeah, Evan, going back to your point about not executing, I think, you know, when a guy has the fastest car and he knows it and something happens to him, puts him back in the pack, he'll start, you know, making really, really aggressive decisions on pit strategy, put himself off even more. You know, that's really what compounds these bad decisions. They turn into, you know, poor race results. I think that's really what happens.
And it was a very quick cycle of green flag pit stops. Again, nobody really pulling any sort of a major strategy card. They got kicked off at about lap number 23, 24. They were wrapped up by the time we got to lap number 27. So everybody on the general consensus that, hey, we can go about 25 laps on fuel. That does make things fun, though, because, again, I don't have the exact fuel numbers. And at a track like Michigan, there is plenty of opportunity to save gas. But, again, we talk about momentum being a big factor. It's a track where you really don't have a lot of reasonable opportunities to save gas. You can get off the gas a little bit earlier, but, I mean, you can't save as much as quickly as you might be able to at some of these other intermediate racetracks we go to. They're pitting just shy of lap number 25. Say they made it right to 25. That makes it a 3-stop race when you're talking about 105 laps. You'll pit around lap 25, around 50, around lap 75, and then you're looking to make it 30 laps on that third run of fuel. I would imagine that that's a realistic expectation, rather on that fourth run of fuel there at the end. I can imagine that based on what I've seen, Gabe, I think everybody looking to make 3 stops tonight, and if that is the case, they've got 1 out of the way so far. If they can't go much more, though, than the 26 laps that they did, it would be pushing it close, but I don't think that number's a major concern to anybody.
Yeah, if I were these guys, I'd start saving now. I really would have started saving before and made a bit of a later pit stop. Make up those 5 or 6 laps that you're going to need at the end of the race. You know, save your fuel, get a lap or 2 here every pit stop cycle. That'll add up to the end of the race, so you could be 2 to 3 laps to the good at the end of the race.
When we talk about strategy being a factor, well, you pit early, what do? You force everybody else's hand to come in behind you, so you're getting the tire advantage, but as you just mentioned, you're losing a couple of laps of fuel as well, so it's a 50-50 on what you think is going to be priority. For Cody Gibson, he needs a little bit of speed. He's been a great truck. I mentioned how consistent he has been. By the way, in all of this, he ended up from 3rd position going to the race lead because of when he came down to the pit lane to get all of this kicked off, because I mentioned he was 4th, and 3rd. Well, right now he's in 1st position. So he did a very good job of picking up 2.7 seconds over Rhett McBride, as well as 3.6 seconds to Tommy Rahn. Those were the 2 drivers that were actually in front of him before the pit stops began. Ryan Keese, as we mentioned, picked up 2 more spots in that cycle of pit stops. He's gotten to 2nd, and the 100 was dealing with a lap truck in between him and your race leader. He can now see him. He can see Cody Gibson. We talk about, again, making mistakes, and when you make a mistake, you're forced into a situation where you furthermore make mistakes by pushing that truck a little bit too much. Not heavily on the mind of a seasoned veteran like Ryan Keese, I don't think at this moment, Gabe. But if you're talking about this scenario, 1 second gap, and maybe add 50 more laps on to what we're running right now, and you're talking about a situation where you're at lap 83, you see the guy, your lap times are just so close. Cody Gibson ran a .868 the last time, but it was at 8:44 for Ryan Keese. So he's quicker than him, but not by a whole lot. You're that close. It is very easy as a trailing driver, as a tracing driver, to get coaxed into a situation where you try to get onto the gas a little bit too soon, you overdrive that truck, and you make a mistake. Keese, smooth as butter, picks up 2/10 that lap.
Yeah, he's cut that lead down to about 8/10 of a second. Yeah, Evan, you're going to have to be really consistent, plus when he gets into the air of the number 7 truck, Cody Gibson, these trucks, they create a huge bubble in the air like at Talladega. That's the reason the draft kind of worked, and everybody's inside that big air bubble. Same thing here, it's just a single car. Once he gets behind him, he's going to have a little bit of aero push, so that's going to wear the tires a little bit and cause him to adjust his line a bit. So, like you said, seasoned veteran, oh God, I can't talk tonight, a seasoned veteran of Ryan Keese. I don't think he should have too much of a problem with it. He should just calm down right now, wait till the next pit stop, kind of see where Cody Gibson's going to end up, where his fuel, how many laps he's running, and then kind of adjust yourself.
We see races where normally you get a caution flag early, a couple of cautions maybe, kind of messes with the strategy aspect of the race. We go green at the halfway point, you see cautions late. If the past races that we've seen this season tell us anything, is that this race will not go green all the way. There's going to be a caution late, and you can throw everything that we're going to be talking about for the next 30, 40 laps out the window. However, in a case where there's no cautions early, I think it helps these guys be consistent because, again, we talk about momentum is a big thing. You can never understress that in these trucks at a racetrack like this. If you're a guy like a Cody Gibson, you come into this race, you know what pit stops you want to make, what laps you want to make those stops at, rather. It's very easy to go, okay, you get out on track, give me 25 laps. You leave the pit road, okay, let's do 25 more laps. Very easy to methodically break the race down. Once you start to get cautions, once things start to get out of control, it's very easy to have all of that fall apart. And that mental aspect falls apart as well. But because this race has been so smooth, these guys up front, although they're not on each other's bumper, you wouldn't know it because Keese brought the gap down to 7/10. Now it's back up to 8/10, so they're playing chicken. P1 and P2, by far, though, fastest trucks on a racetrack. They continue to grow a gap over third on back.
Yeah, with these guys running green flag laps here, like you said, they can just kind of mind themselves, run their line that they want to, and not that many lap cars, really. We've got 16 cars on the lead lap, only 4 lap down cars, so yeah, they can kind of run to themselves and manage it. But if we start getting cautions, you're going to have to worry about restarts, you're going to have to worry about guys breathing down your neck every few laps. So, and as we know, cautions bring cautions. Guys realizing I may not get another chance to pass this guy. And like we saw at the start of the race tonight, earlier, 2-3 wide racing, just trying to get by people.
Clean and green is the name of the game in the United Sim Racing Truck Series inaugural championship finale. No cautions through the opening 38 laps at the Michigan International Speedway and past the 1/3 mark in the Pure Michigan 210. We're going to take a quick moment, step away on LSRTV, and we will be right back. Cody Gibson in front by 7/10 of a second on LSRTV and iRacing Live.
On the outside, contact made. 56 slides it at a 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even. Give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Monza is a very historic track. It's been around since the 20s, and it's gone through several permutations since then. We're also bringing forward a number of configurations. So there's chicanes that they've installed since the track's early days. So they can use original, very high-speed configurations of the track where the cars would just blow through where the chicanes are today, or they could use a more modern version. So it's a pretty cool, compelling track. The unique thing about Monza is it has a road course, but it also has a high-speed oval. And that high-speed oval can be run by itself. The Grand Prix course can be run by itself. And they also can be run together in a combined circuit, which is very unique and special in motorsports. This was one of the more challenging projects that we've undertaken. It was essentially building two tracks in one. It took a lot of time and a lot of care was put into it, but we're really happy about the end result and we think that people have a lot of fun driving it.
We welcome you back live to the virtual Michigan International Speedway, and we are side by side for the race lead. The charge from the back to the front going to be completed at lap number 44. Ryan Keese to the inside. It'll be enough to get the job done. New race leader at a turn number 2, number 100 machine of Ryan Keese. Cody Gibson has led a majority of this race, and he really took control after the cycle of pit stops. He's got a fast truck, enough to get to the bumper, enough to give a hello tap to the left rear of the 100, but not enough to challenge anything back. And as that truck gets tight at a turn number 4, Ryan Keese takes over the lead spot.
And if you look at the 2, Revved McBride, he's going to be your first taker down on pit road. So already seeing a little bit of strategy. Evan, I don't know about you. That's a little early to be pitting, don't you think?
We talked about if you pit at lap about 25, you can look to split this race into fourths. You go lap 1 to 25, about 25 to 50, 50 to 75, 75 to 100. It's a little bit shy of lap 105, so we mentioned saving fuel concern for Revved McBride to be coming down this time. That tells me that they can't go those 105 laps on just 3 tanks of fuel. They're going to have to come down for 4 stops of service. So he comes down now, still shy of what is going to be the halfway point. 2 stops, he still has an additional 2 stops remaining, I would assume, unless he's really short pitting, trying something, which for Revved McBride in a scenario that he finds himself in, he's not the top 10 in points. He wants to win a race. He's not going to win the race by running 3 seconds back in third. So it's not a crazy idea to think that he's doing a crazy short pit. The real way we'll be able to tell is if everybody else starts to come down pit road with him. If we see our leaders begin to trickle down, that means that you're looking at a 4-stop race.
And that they have, Evan. Number 100, Ryan Keese, he's come down to pit road. So either that's the strategy everybody's being forced to run, or the number 2, Revved McBride, he's kind of forced everybody's hand.
Cody Gibson going to give up the race lead. He'll be followed in by second-place runner Tommy Ryan, third-place runner Scott Simley, all down to the pit lane. No surprise here is that Ricky Hardin's number 15 Michelin Chevrolet stays out, takes over the race lead. He went much longer on fuel on that opening stint in comparison to what these guys did. Cody Gibson down to the pit lane, though, to get serviced. Pit strategy becoming a factor. The 7 overshoots the stall, though. That's going to cost Cody Gibson some time.
Now, one thing to look at, the 2, he pitted about 1 lap early from the number 100, Ryan Keese, so that may be enough. The new tires lasting for just 1 out lap, that may be enough to close down that 7/10 of a gap he had before they pitted. So we may see a new leader as we cycle back through the field.
Those 3 drivers from the top of the field, they're now going to go and roll out of the pit lane. Ricky Hardin continues to stay out in the Michelin Chevrolet. Just when it looked like that everybody was on the general consensus that, hey, we need 4 stops, Ricky Hardin is about 4 laps away from splitting this race to the halfway point, and so far on only 1 tank of gas. If he can get to lap 52, that marks just about the halfway point in this race, that would tell me that 3 stops total on the night is the exact way to go. And again, don't have the numbers based on what these guys are saying, so we're just trying to interpretate based on what we're seeing on the racetrack. Contact behind the number 39 truck into the outside wall just a little bit. That is Salicardi. A little bit of a brush, not a whole lot of damage for the driver that has already had a poor start to his night in 20th spot. 2 laps down. He's the last running truck for the record of the active trucks, with Daniel E. Eberhardt out of this race early.
Yep, and my guess was correct. That 1 lap on new tires in front of the number 100, that's put the 2 of Rhett McBride into your provisional lead when they get back cycling through these green flag pit stops. So we're going to have a new leader when we get all these guys done with their pit stops.
Second place runner Steve Herring is 12 seconds behind Ricky Harden. He says that he'll be coming down to the pit lane this time. That'll be lap number 49. Harden stays out. He takes lap 50. And next time by, it'll be 50 down, 55 to go. I'm kind of liking the difference in strategy we're seeing. We'll put it easy for you, though. If Harden does need to make 4 pit stops, assuming those that have already pitted for a second time have to pit 4 additional times, 4 times total, but 2 additional times in comparison to the 2 that they've already done, Gabe, then Harden's going to lose this race. Because we talked about just the difference in 1 lap based on tires. The fact that he's been out here an additional 5, now 6 laps if he stays out again, and he does. If he has to make the same amount of pit stops that they do, I don't see a way in which that Michelin-powered Chevy gets the job done. 2 more laps, though, you're halfway to home, so I think I'm understanding Ricky Harden's idea, so now I'm almost more interested in seeing what everybody else does the next time they come down. James Carhula down to the pit lane, the 24 truck took over the second spot. He will come down for the second time tonight. 24.5 seconds back is Rhett McBride, who once the 15 comes down will take over the race lead. The gap that he's got in front of Ryan Keese sits at just 1.1 seconds. Not a whole lot, but that's just from that 1 lap. Again, you make that first stop down to the pit lane, and it's worth it. The 15 to Ricky Harden, he hits the apron in turns number 3 and 4. He will have to come down for service, and I mean, lap 51, that's still not halfway. He's trying to push it, though.
No, but if he does this on the other 2 pit stops, he may have enough fuel to make it. So we may be talking about the call of the night here, but we're just going to need to see, let the rest of the race play out, as we're going to get the leader, Rhett McBride. He's going to lead his first lap of the night.
McBride going to go back topside. It was Harden first at the start-finish line that time, so the 15 Bashid is credited with leading lap number 51 because he came down to the pit stall. McBride now in front of the field, down the back straightaway. Ryan Keese has been an expert at going through the draft tonight because, I mean, you talk about a guy that passed so many cars under the green flag conditions early and is now losing spots on the pit lane. Just 1 spot that time to the 2 of Rhett McBride. Now trying to get back up to him again. It was the 7 of Cody Gibson that was running just behind Keese in second before the cycle of pit stops. Gibson's now back in P6, running about 7 seconds behind these guys. So at a track that's 2 miles in length, that's not a restrictor plate track, your speed is based on what you can do. That difference between, you know, one guy comes down to the pit road, we say at about lap 45, next guy comes in at 46, then 47 and 48. That seems like a conservative move, but when you talk about the difference between, Gabe, the guy that pitted at lap 45 and the guy that pitted at lap 48, that is 4 laps at about 1 to 1.5 seconds at least slower per lap on older tires than fresh tires. That's where that gap comes from.
Yeah, we've seen these guys play that strategy all night. 100 Ryan Keese, he did that the first pit stop, was able to get into the second position, and then right before pit stop he took the lead. That's got to be so frustrating for him. He was only in the lead for about 3 or 4 laps, and then everybody started pitting, so he had to give it up. And then Rhett McBride, he pits. He's the first one to come down pit lane, and he takes the lead on Ryan Keese's strategy. So that's got to be really, really frustrating for him. Just getting to the lead, he worked so hard for it, and then to have it slip away with another set of pit strategy.
In the 100 machines, a second back. We saw when he was a second back from Cody Gibson that he was slowly inching forward and inching forward and inching forward. And eventually, once he got to within about 0.6 of a second, that's where the draft came into play. He got the draft and he was to him just like that. That's the ultimate goal for that number 100 truck, who sits now just 9/10 of a second off of the bumper of Rhett McBride, who has taken the race lead just 3 laps ago, though. We crossed the halfway point in tonight's race, and let's take a look at our iRacing.com midway race break, presented by iRacing.com, the leader in motorsport simulations and the official sim racing partner of NASCAR. Rhett McBride leads the Pier Michigan 210 at lap number 55. The two started in third. He leads by 9/10 of a second. Back to the number 100 of Ryan Keese, 17th to 2nd, as we have gone clean and green all the way. Scott Simley, an impressive run for the number 68 Toyota. He runs in third in front of Tommy Ron in fourth and Cody Gibson in fifth spot. Aaron Bennett scored a P6 at the moment. 7th behind him, championship driver, the number 17 of Jamie Walker. Got shocked back to 8th spot with a move on that most recent lap. Richard Lafferty in 9th, and rounding out your top 10, 21 seconds back, the number 15 of Ricky Harden.
In the 11th position, first car outside the top 10, 82, Chris Baines. 44, Ryan Beidel, he's going to be in the 12th position. David Gibson, he started 20th at the beginning of the night. He's worked his way up to 13th, so a pretty good race for him. 98, Steve Herring, he's in 14th. Rusty Farrell in 15th. 24, James Crawhalla, he's going to be in the 16th position. Greg Malm, the number 22, is going to be 17th. Your first car lap down in the 18th position is Sal Accardi. Number 95, Joe Dinsmore, is going to be 19th, 1 lap down. The 57, Jeff Gilmore, he is in the 20th position, 3 laps down.
And Gilmore just going to push that truck behind the wall, so he'll get a DNF along with in 21st position Daniel E. Eberhardt as the only 2 drivers to end tonight's race prematurely. Still 19 drivers on track, 17 of which ride on the lead lap. This has been your iRacing.com midway race break. For more information on the wide variety of racing possibilities on the web, visit iRacing.com and sign up today. The gap between P1 and P2 continues to close. There's a couple of battles around the racetrack that, again, we want to talk to at some point, but the strategy aspect of this race is just taking over as a large precedence. Keeps the gap to 6/10 of a second at the moment. If you're talking about 4 pit stops, I would not be shocked to see these guys pit before lap 70, unless, again, they're really saving fuel and they're going to be able to pull out an additional 10 laps per run than what they've been doing if they want to make it to the end. So I'm watching the intervals between P1 and P9 because Ricky Harden is in 9th position, 22.1 seconds, the gap that he's working with right now. You know, you do the math, he was about 20 seconds or so in front of those guys when it came down to the pit lane gave. He's about 20 seconds behind. You're glad at a 40-second or so pit road delta. That's an entire lap when you talk about these guys running 40-second lap times, actually right on the money there. So it's a lap that you're going to lose by coming down to the pit lane. Even if Ricky Harden obviously would not have the tires in his favor if he pulls this thing out on one last stop, I think that additional time of an entire lap, you talk about maybe even ends up with a lap and a half based on the times when it's all said and done. That alone enough to give him the opportunity to save fuel, and save fuel drastically, because he'll milk that gap if it comes down to it. Again, though, caution flag can completely change the complexion of this race and these drivers. That's why it's a gamble to make any sort of stray away from what everybody else is doing, because if a caution comes now, terrible, because you're back outside the top 8 drivers if you're Ricky Harden. Now, if it comes when they pit, Gabe, and you have yet to, it works out for you. It's all a gamble. It is going to be a 4-stop race, though. Rhett McBride and pit road at lap number 60.
Yeah, you're talking about the 15 Ricky Harden, about his pit strategy. If he was going to make that work, I would get every lap I could out of that fuel tank, every pit stop, just to minimize the laps you're going to be on those tires. But I think now that strategy is going to be thrown out the window with a pit stop on lap 60. So Rhett McBride, he's kind of choosing everybody else's race if they choose to follow him.
So McBride is in pit road. He came in for the race lead, and if you're Ryan Keese, you got to be like, man, cut me a break. Because the 100 truck led this race. He got out-pitted by 1 lap the last time down pit road to lose the race lead from Rhett McBride. This time he does not come down, so he will stay out. The objective for the 2 truck, who is the first driver to make a 3rd trip down pit side, is this. If you want to come down pit road now, you're looking at 45 laps to the end of this race. You're not doing 45 laps on a tank of gas based on the numbers we've seen tonight. So I think it's safe to say that Rhett McBride is going with 4 stops tonight, and he's short pitting, which I think gives him a big advantage over a guy like Ryan Keese. You see Keese right there in front of him, the number 100 truck, that's your race leader. Just behind him, you're Rhett McBride. Look how much faster this true truck is going to be. Once he passes that number 100 Chevrolet, that means that Gabe, once that 100 comes down, he does not have a lap of a gap back to that 2 truck. So Keese is going to be way back there.
Yeah, and you're talking about feeling for the 100 of Ryan Keese. You know, he had just gotten into that draft threshold about 0.5 of a second back that you were talking about before. He had just gotten in that and dropped that lead down to about 0.2 of a second. As he's the 2 of Ryan or Rhett McBride, he's going to try and get the inside position. As I believe that's the 33 of Aaron Bennett coming out of the pit road, but Rhett McBride, I keep changing my favorite pit strategy. I think he may have made the call of the race right now.
He's not making any friends by doing it all, but again, it was smart because he just had that 100 get to the bumper, he pitted, and even if Keese came down the lap immediately after that, Keese is still going to lose time. So, although I might have been in favor of the 100 just coming down pit road, getting serviced, and just going with it, I almost think that Ryan Keese, once he saw that number 2 truck come down to the pit lane, he knew he was screwed, because you see, I mean, that 2 truck's pulling away now. Again, it takes an entire lap to get down pit road, get up to speed. That's why that 2 is behind the 100. So now you're talking about Keese coming down pit road. He'll be an entire straightaway behind the 2 truck of Rhett McBride at this moment. And if we were to see a caution, that doesn't even help the number 100, because McBride now, after passing him, gets his lap back the old-fashioned way. The 2 truck goes to P12 and the last position on the lead lap. So, you know, it's a battle now, I think, between 3 strategies almost. Ricky Harden is still out there, though, behind the wheel of the number 15. He has to get, I think, at least 12 more laps out of this tank of fuel if he wants to make it to the end. You're looking at lap number 64 right now. He's racing around the 82 truck. That's a lap machine of Chris Baines, who has already completed service again tonight. You want to make it to, I think, lap 76, 77. I don't think you want to cut it any shorter than that if you're trying to do this on 3 stops.
And, you know, we're talking about the 100 pit strategy right now as a lost cause. He may have made a great call like we were talking about earlier. You know, guys, they kind of overdrive and they kind of overdo their pit strategy trying to get back up front. Like you said, he was completely screwed because the 2 truck pitted. If Ryan stays out there like he has done and continues on his pit strategy, that may be the winning pit strategy. We just don't know right now.
We talk about reactionary moves. That truck comes down pit road, whether it be the leader, well, it'll be the guy in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th. You come down the next lap because you don't want to lose as much time. If you don't come down in that next lap or the next 2-3 laps at the worst case scenario, you're abandoning the strategy of staying on the same strategy as that driver. So if you're Ryan Keese, you're looking at maybe making a very quick short pit maybe on your next interval, because you still have 2 times that you need to come down to the pit lane, assuming that Keese doesn't get 8 additional laps of fuel out of this. If he can get to lap 76, 77, which I think is the ultimate goal of the 15 truck, you might be able to squeeze it out on 3 stops. I just don't think you're going to be able to, based on how short those first increments were between his first, second trips down to the pit lane. But he is significantly slower on the tires. You can see the 6 car, that's somebody else that has gotten service completed. Tommy Ryan has pitted. He's back out there, so he's sticking with the pit strategy of the 2. And here comes Ryan Keese down to the pit lane at lap number 67. And I think that this is going to be his penultimate trip down. Still needs 1 more tank of gas after this to make it to the end. So I think he's going to be in a world of hurt after this. He'll probably be almost double-digit seconds behind those guys that he was racing with before this 3rd cycle of pit stops began.
Yeah, and the 68 Scott Simley, he's going to follow him down. He was in the 2nd position. You know who this is going to move into the lead? The 15 of Ricky Harden. So he's coming down the front straightaway. He is not going to get the lead right now as the 100 cross the start-finish line first, but this lap time by, or this lap right here, if he could stay on track, if he doesn't hit this time, he's going to be back in the lead. So the strategy worked for right now, but we're not racing the lap 70, we're racing lap 105. So it'd be interesting to see when his pit strategy is going to either pass or fail right now.
And all eyes will now go to our new race leader at lap number 68. Ricky Harden takes back over the top spot, and he rides the low lane in 3 and 4, and I'm seeing that truck stay low, and I'm like, oh, you can't be coming down pit road now. He'll lead lap 68 down. Lap number 69 goes into the work. Still 14 trucks on the lead lap. everybody at this point, for the most part, has completed service. You still have David Gibson in second, James Krahula in third, Steve Herring in fourth. I believe those are the only 4 drivers at this moment that are working on the same pit strategy as Ricky Harden. Actually, I think, Cody Gibson has already come down as well. So Cody Gibson even out-short-pitted Rhett McBride for the record, Gabe. So the 7 takes over the race lead from the 2, assuming you're talking about the drivers on 3 trips down to the pit lane. The top 4 drivers, though, have only pitted twice. You're looking at Herring, Krahula, and Gibson in the conversation of Ricky Harden. David W. Gibson down pit road from second. That just leaves Krahula and Herring out there. Ricky Harden, though, give me 6 more laps, and I think he might be able to pull up the fuel strategy upset of the season. Something that we've seen a lot of on Tuesday nights, actually, so far this year with the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series, and quite parallel to what we've seen in this Saturday Night United Sim Racing Truck Series so far. These races have come down to door-banging, side-by-side action. This one might be determined from the pit box. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm looking at Cody Gibson. It's, where you end up and what pit strategy you use is not when you pit. Really, it's how you do it and how well you execute it. He missed his pit stall on the last round of green flag pit stops. So I think it kind of forced his hand. It kind of made him change his strategy, say, hey, I need to short pit, get back in the position where I was. Because where he was, if he had continued on his pit strategy, he would have been 6 seconds behind the leaders.
And that 7 truck came down at lap number 62, so he came down to get his service. Third time tonight, took 2 tires in an attempt to make up some time. That's how he got in front of Rhett McBride. McBride is he's really putting the heat on him now, so the battle for P4 is not all that far away from us. I'm surprised to see Krahula and Herring in this. We talk about the 24 of James Krahula, started 16th position tonight. The last time Krahula was down on pit road was at lap number 51. So we can guarantee, is on the same pit strategy as Ricky Harden. You look back to the driver of the number 7 machine, Cody Gibson. He is now the lead driver in the 3-stop strategy, or the 4-stop strategy, but the guys that have completed 3 stops already tonight, there's a lot of math involved in this, but Gibson's on 2 tires. Again, he only took right side Wranglers that time, so you got a guy with 2 tires on the regular strategy. Rhett McBride is the first driver on the regular strategy with 4 tires. Cody Gibson, I think, takes a small swing at it, but I think he got to about the halfway point in this race, Gabe, and said, oh, Ricky Harden may have outsmarted us. I got to try something. I admire the 2-tire call, but I think with the speed out of Rhett McBride, that 2 truck's going to be by him here at about 5 laps, and then that really not going to help him much.
All right, let's put a little math in this. All right, if these guys are on the same pit strategy, the 24 and the 15, you'd say lap 75 is lap 100. If we're going on a 25-lap pit strategy, that's going to mean they're going to need to run until about lap 80 to make it on fuel. Do you think that's realistic the way these guys get? I think they're saving a little bit of fuel right now because the 15's dropped his pace a lot since the 97 car, or not the 97, but the 24 has been catching him. So he's dropped his pace a lot right now.
They were in at 51, so I'm thinking you're going to have to go 77 if you want to be close. But here's the other thing in this conversation, is that because at this moment, they have 1 entire pit stop less than everybody else, but they don't have a huge gap. Ricky Harden's got 2 seconds in front of James Krahula. Those are the guys that are trying to do 3 stops on the night. Cody Gibson, Rhett McBride, Scott Simley, the first 3 trucks on the 4-stop strategy, running 3rd, 4th, and 5th right now, are only 5 seconds behind him. Right now, those guys have significantly better tires. Harden and Krahula are going to have to pit. They're going to have to stay out long enough to make it on fuel, but as well stay out long enough to the point in which you can make it on your number, but don't stay out too long to let those guys catch you. Cody Gibson might pass Ricky Harden, but then the advantage swings back in favor. Gabe, we talk about the difference between if you pit 1 lap before the guy that you've been running around, which is something that Cody Gibson and Rhett McBride have both used tonight to take over the race lead in this one. That's an advantage. Ricky Harden is going to be coming down to the pit lane well before, I would imagine, Cody Gibson, Rhett McBride, and Scott Simley. But if this number 15 and the 24 could make it to their number, which I think is 2 more laps, get 5 more miles out of it, maybe, and you'll be able to do it on fuel, Gabe, I would not be surprised if we see as that 24 comes down. So I'm doubtful on Krahula making it because he's going to need a 30-lap run to the end. Harden needs at least 2 more laps. With Rhett McBride, Scott Simley, and Gibson, they might call an audible and pit when that 15 comes down so that they have the same tires as him and maybe just try to chase him down the old-fashioned way. Because just like we talked about the conversation with Ryan Keese, when Keese did not pit first and he was out of luck, if Rhett McBride, Scott Simley, and Cody Gibson let Ricky Harden pit before them, Harden's got 1 pit stop to go. It doesn't matter that he's only taken 2 so far. He's got 1 to go. Those guys, it doesn't matter that they've taken 3 so far. They've got 1 to go also. Whoever comes down first out of these guys is going to have a tire advantage at the end of the race.
Yeah, I'm looking back here. I'd like to give a little shout-out to the 68 Scott Simley. He's been running in the back half of the top 5 pretty much the whole race. After these round of pit stops, he was running around the 3rd and 4th position. Cody Gibson, Rhett McBride, they started racing. Scott took advantage of it and got by both of them. So right now, he's in the 2nd position, really the lead whenever the 15 comes down. That it's going to be right now. He's coming down to pit road. So Evan, you guessed it right. The magic number for him to get to is lap number 77. So see if he can save a little fuel next time on this last run of green flag tires and fuel. Can he make it?
And now you see Scott Simley go to the race lead. Everybody else on the racetrack now needs 1 more trip down the pit road unless James Krahula has got some jet fuel in that 24 and he can pull an extra 5 laps out of the fuel cell. Scott Simley, Rhett McBride, Cody Gibson, now the math gets a lot easier because they have to pit 1 additional time. We just saw the 15 of Harden pit. The longer these guys stay out, Gabe, they're no longer faster than him. Harden's going to be faster than them. They're now losing time to that driver. Now, as we saw them close the gap in from what was overall, 20 seconds after we had the first cycle of pit stops where they had completed 2 and Harden had completed 1, that went from 20 seconds down to 3.4 was the gap before the 15 came down. They're losing time now. These guys are going to try to time this and say, we need to pit maybe lap 80. That would put you on your regular fuel number to the end of 25 laps or so, maybe 81, 82. They got to be coming down soon because they want that tire advantage to go in their favor to the closing laps. The 68 of Scott Simley not coming down. The 2 are Rhett McBride on. Here comes Cody Gibson. He'll play the strategy card. He's on pit road.
He's coming down. He may be the only one to take. He may be the first of many. It's just a guessing game right now to see if these guys, because we can't tell when they're pitting unless they give the rest of these guys a heads up. A huge gaggle of lap cars in front of the leaders. We've got the 3 leaders right here together, and then back half of the top 10, top 15, these cars up here, they're racing hard. And that group includes a 15.
The Cody Gibson has pitted. He is now going to be in front of Scott Simley, Rhett McBride, and Ryan Keese once all of this cycle goes through because he has a tire advantage to them. McBride stays out, Keese stays out, Simley stays out. So now I'm thinking for the 68, the 2, and the 100, who are 1, 2, 3 on track right now at 25 laps to go, is the fact that these guys are now not only losing a lot of time to Ricky Harden, we talked about 40 seconds, Gabe, roughly the number that it takes to pit. Well, Ricky Harden is behind you in 12th position by 37 seconds. That makes me believe that that 15 is going to be about 4 or 5 seconds in front of them if they pit right now. When they pit, though, again, they're losing time. Once they pit, they're going to be making up time with the fresh tires. I love that move that Cody Gibson made, though. I think that was a very smart move for the driver of the number 7. He came down to the pit lane to get serviced. Talk about throwing something into this. How about 2 tires for Cody Gibson? He has a 3-second lead over Ricky Harden. Those are the only 2 drivers so far that, at least based on the strategy that we have seen, have made their final stops on the night. Can Gibson maybe outplay the strategy guy in the 15 to Harden, and can the 2 tires get it for him?
You know what, Evan, I'm like you. I really like that call because he had the fuel to make it to a magic number that he calculated, probably around the lap 79, so whenever he pitted. He had the fuel to make it, so he could pick and choose when he got his new tires. Yeah, so he's about 33 seconds behind right now, that time by, yet again, 40-second lap time, or a 40-second pit stop delta. He's going to be in the lead when these guys pit, and I think Scott Simley, he's pitted.
The 68 of Simley is down, so is the number 100 of Ryan Keese, and Rhett McBride now, the next driver that stays out. It's very easy to say I like the call, I don't like the call, but this very quickly went from being a a one strategy game from a two strategy game, and now we got 3 or 4 different strategies in the mix. What are these guys doing on the pit lane? Ryan Keese, he'll burn it out. He goes with 4 tires and fuel. Scott Simley on pit road as well takes 4 tires on fuel. So there's no question that the 100 and the 68 are going to be behind both Ricky Harden and the 7 Cody Gibson. Gibson is on a 2 set of tires, which 2 sets of tires, that could be a great call in comparison to Harden, who, although Harden got 4 tires before and should have been in front, the 2 tires for Cody Gibson almost kind of masks that. He doesn't have the tire advantage speed-wise in comparison to these other guys. Ryan Keese and Scott Simley are going to be putting down faster laps for the next couple of laps. It doesn't matter, though, because he cut that pit stop time in half, a gap that I said would have been about 5 seconds in favor for the 15. You subtract 7 seconds off of that, that puts you about 2-3 seconds in front, but that is exactly what has happened. Cody Gibson 5 seconds in front of Ricky Harden in 3rd position, assuming that would all cycle through to be to that point. At this point, though, that means Gibson 3rd, James Krahula, by the way, in 4th, and Harden in 5th. Rusty Farrell yet to pit, and now so has that 2. Rhett McBride is in, so everybody now completing their final swings of pit stops and get a good look at where everybody will be.
This is so confusing to me, all the pit strategy.
I've got a paper full of notes here. I'm trying to keep track as well.
See, this is why I race in the lower series of iRacing. You don't have to worry about it, just race. I could not do this. I'd just be following everybody.
Got a feel for the guys that don't have a spotter or a crew chief on the pit box for them tonight, and they're trying to drive around and do all of this math at the same time. And we got the benefit of being able to try to write down where everybody sits, and I mean it is a lot of pit strategy. Rhett McBride, he'll exit the pit lane. He's on the access road in 1 and 2. The 2 truck took 4 tires of service that time on the pit road. Question is, Cody Gibson, turn number 4, 20 laps to go for the United Sim Racing Toyota Tundra. May not have been on the pit strategy that should have won this race. He decided to go with the cycle that involved 4 trips to the pit lane. Ricky Harden looked like he had this race won as he pitted just 3 times, but Cody Gibson's audible of 2 tires has him 1.8 seconds in front of James Krahula and 4.8 seconds in front of Ricky Harden. He's in the catbird seat. Krahula, I don't think he's good on fuel. Harden is close. Cody Gibson is 100% good.
Yeah, if you want to see how this race has gone and what's been going on, all you need to do is look at the message boards right now. It is filled up with nothing but pitting in, pitting out. So Michigan, even in the real series, it's been nothing but fuel mileage stuff. And Krahula, he's been hanging on, but here comes Keese in the number 100. He's been catching up both of these guys.
And just like that, it's Tommy Ryan and Ryan Keese. They pass Ricky Harden. So although the 15 is going to make 1 stop entirely less than what they do, Gabe, it is not enough for Ricky Harden to grow the gap and hang on. A valiant effort. It looked like he had outsmarted him, but the speed and the tires at Michigan proved to be king. So Harden falls to P5. I'm sure he'll fall a little bit further down because Simley in P6 and even Rhett McBride in 7 aren't all that far behind him. But Ryan Keese now, can the 100 machine make up a 3-second gap to Cody Gibson? He's got just shy of 18 laps to do it. He's got Tommy Ryan 0.8 of a second behind him. Krahula, though, might take over the race lead here in the next 5 laps. Again, that number 24 Chevy looking to go 30 laps on this tank of fuel. That might be a stretch, but I'll tell you what, he's not saving now. He is hustling up to the back bumper to that 7.
Yeah, but if the 24 gets up there and starts racing the 7 to Cody Gibson, that may doom both of them because that's going to slow both of them up, and they're going to use more fuel than they would racing each other. And the 100, Ryan Keese, he's going to catch both of them, so it may mess up both of their strategies if the 24 gets up there trying to take the lead.
Ryan Keese, that last time by with a 39.8, and it was a 40.6 to Cody Gibson. So the audible call by the 7 takes the race lead over from the 15 of Ricky Harden. That math leads me to believe, Gabe, that Cody Gibson felt like if he took 4 tires, that he would not be able to catch Ricky Harden, and Harden would win this race. So that means that he felt that Ryan Keese and Tommy Ryan were not going to be able to get the job done. So it is going to be James Krahula to the race lead. Cody Gibson now, if he knew that number 15, Ricky Harden, would not be able to stay in front of Simley and Ryan, I think he goes with 4 tires. So he makes a 2-tire call to beat the 15. Unfortunately, you were going to beat the 15 anyways. And there goes the 100 of Ryan Keese. That's what 4 tires looks like versus 2. And now Keese piloting up to second spot, almost getting this one on the silver platter. He's got one more spot to get, and that's Krahula, who's up front. 100 car to second.
I'm looking at it. Is Krahula pitting? Krahula's pitting.
That's it. He's out of gas. Pitting. 30 laps. He can't do it. So James Krahula comes down pit road in the third most of the pit strikers. We talked about making 3 stops. We talked about making 4 stops and taking 2 tires. Well, 4 stops and 4 tires every single time. The magic call. Ryan Keese to the race lead at 15 laps to go. So I guess it is good, and speed helps. We talked about a race that could be dictated by strategy. When you've got the fastest truck out there, it makes your job a lot easier.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier, and I believe the easiest driving anybody's doing out here is the 100 Ryan Keese. He's pulling away to about a second lead, and that's not helping the 6. The 6 is having to deal with the number 7, Cody Gibson. Gibson finally lets him by, but he's had to lose. He's lost about another. He's got that lead back to a second now. So Tommy Ryan's going to have a lot of work to do to catch him before the end of this race, as we're just past 15 laps to go.
And we're inside of the final 15 laps at Michigan, just about 26 miles left to the checkered flag. And first I thought Ricky Harden had outsmarted him, then I thought Cody Gibson had outsmarted him, but it was Ryan Keese based on pure speed alone. Puts that truck to the race lead. Tommy Ryan, by the way, the number 6 truck takes over second. He is 1 second behind. I don't think he has the speed, at least at this moment, to challenge with the number 100 because the gap between those two was 0.8 of a second a couple of laps ago. It was just 1 and now 1.2 seconds. So Ryan Keese, fastest truck on the racetrack. He's got the best tires out of anybody, and he's in clean air. You could almost write this one up. However, and I'm going to knock on wood here, still a chance. A caution flag changes this one. Do we go to the season finale? Green all the way. 12 laps to go this time by. It's Keese, Ryan, Simley, the top 3.
Yeah, Cody Gibson, he's falling back to the number 4, the 4th position, right in front of Ray McBride. So that pit strategy is really not working out for him. I don't know if he could have made it any farther than what he did when he pitted, but Tommy Ryan, he's cut that lead by about a 100th. Not a whole lot of cut, but it's something. He's not getting pulled away from, so there's a little something toward the end of the race, so he may be able to catch him.
A little bit of lap traffic on the horizon for Ryan Keese. We still have 12 drivers that started this race on the lead lap. Have not had a caution flag since the drop of the green flag. It has been clean and green all the way through. Last driver on the lead lap, Chris Baines at the moment, quickly getting bigger and bigger in the windshield of Ryan Keese. Keese may then have to deal with as well Rusty Farrell and James Krahula, those drivers within about a 6-second window of your race leader at this moment. Always provides a situation where you want to be careful. You're working 1.2 seconds in front of Ryan in second. It's a little bit of a bubble, not enough to take it very easy around these lap cars, so you're talking on the radio with him, you're saying, get up, get out of the way, let me through. That's still a treacherous situation to sit in. Impressed, though, at the amount of guys that are still on the lead lap. Not only that, but we still have 19 trucks running.
You know, Evan, when we started the night, we were talking about the 17, Jamie Walker, clinched the championship, and that everybody else's position was still up for grabs. I just was looking at the points. Cody Gibson is in the second position in points, 4 points ahead of Tommy Ryan when they started the race. Well, Cody Gibson, he is 4 positions behind Tommy. So right now we got a tie for the second position right now in the points.
And Ron, I don't think he's going to catch Keese, so that might fall back more on if Cody Gibson can stay in front of the guys around him. He's 1.5 seconds behind Rhett McBride. I don't think he'll catch him. He's pulling away from Ricky Harden, so that may come down to a combination of bonus points and or a tiebreaker for second in the championship. And because those guys have had a very good night, that means that Aaron Bennett, the number 33 Dow Chevrolet, in 7th position, may just have to settle and walk away with that 4th place in the championship after having a very good run tonight. He's en route to pick up his 7th top 10, but not enough to make up the point gap up to Gibson and Ron. We talked about Greg Maul, who was 5th in the championship by 9 points over Steve Gottschalk. Gottschalk at the moment running about 7 spots in front of him, so that's a close scenario. The 7 to Cody Gibson, though, sideways down the backstretch. 2 tires is not only slower, but it's a lot more of a handful. He just about planted her in the fence at a turn number 2. He'll drop off a spot, and it'll give Ricky Harden one. So Cody Gibson, just talking about that second spot and the points that he was tied for, this now swings that in favor of Tommy Ryan.
Yep, all he had to do, I was looking at the points and the wins this year. They had the same amount of wins depending on what tiebreaker they used. Cody may have been in the running for the second position in points, so those 2 tires have really messed up not only his race but his year.
And he gets sideways, he'll lose 2 spots from that, so that difference now just 2 points. Cody Gibson can still get back to Aaron Bennett, and if he wants to as well, maybe Ricky Harden. It is quite the stretch, though. The number 68 machine, Scott Simley, he now moves into the number 2 spot on track, so that drops Tommy Ryan 1 more spot down the hill. The plot thickens, because if Cody Gibson can pass Aaron Bennett back for P6, that gap right now is 0.8 of a second. We're back in a tiebreaker.
Yeah, and the bonus points, it really doesn't factor in because both of them had led a lap tonight. Unless Cody got the most laps led, which I don't believe he did. I think that honor goes to Ryan, so oh boy, tune in for the post-race
add that
show
to the list of numbers. Yeah, geez, we're talking about fuel strategy. We got tiebreakers in the points and more. This time by 6 laps to go for Ryan Keese. If we can make it around one more time, a caution flag would end the Pure Michigan 210 at a slowed pace under the caution flag. Simley fast enough to pass Tommy Ryan, not fast enough though to catch Ryan Keese. A little bit quicker the last time by 3/100ths of a second, but that number 100 is going to melt the 1.7 second gap he has. Use all of that space up, be calm, just get her across the start-finish line. 10 miles left, this time at a 4.
Yeah, let's see if Scott, now he's finally got some clear track. He had the 6 to deal with still on his back bumper, and now he can run the line he wants to. See what the gap at this time is, and it's down to 1.5 seconds, so it's going down by 1/10 a lap, but that's not going to be enough to catch him by the end of the race.
You need at minimum 0.3 of a second per lap. That's not to say that Ryan Keese won't make a mistake, but I will say that the number 100 Chevrolet has been picture perfect. He did not get caught up in the strategy of the pit stops. He could have called an audible like Cody Gibson. He could have done 2 tires, but he stuck with his strategy. He was confident in what he was doing, put 4 tires on it every single time, let the speed with him behind the wheel speak for itself. 4 laps to go. What does the interval go down to? Simley continues to trail. The closer that number 68 gets, the more the interval will close. How about a gap that time? A 0.3 of a second. It's down to 1.1.
Yep, gap closing up front, and the points, it just keeps thickening. The number 2, Rhett McBride, he gets by the number 6, Tommy Ryan, so that should put him in a tiebreaker position right now.
So Ryan falls all the way down the ladder to 4th. It's Cody Gibson in 7th. Oh, Cody Gibson's in the wall. The 7 truck just got back at a spot to tie Tommy Ryan in the points. He obliterated the outside wall in turn number 2, trying to give a little bit more to catch Aaron Bennett, and now he might lose that spot because Jamie Walker closes. The plot continues to thicken in the battle for second in the championship.
Yep, Cody Gibson, he's got about a 4-second gap right now, but that's going to close down to probably about a 2-second gap right now, as it is, yep, it's about a 2-second gap. Can he milk it with that damage? He smacked it pretty hard, and up front the gap is pretty much the same, still 1.1 seconds. So our real race right now is for that second position in the championship.
It's for second in the championship. It is the difference between Tommy Ryan P4 and Cody Gibson in 7th or in 8th position. Ryan at this moment is not going to lose any more than the 4th spot because he's 8 seconds in front of Ricky Harden in 5th. Jamie Walker wants to walk away with another solid finish on the year. Where he sits right now, it would be his 11th top 10 in just 12 starts. But for your race leader, popsicle sticks in the air, 2 laps to go for Ryan Keese, and just 1 second of differential. The 100 machine has picked it back up. He's got to give us about 2.5 more miles of consistent laps. He'll walk away with the checkered flag and a walk-off on the end of the year.
Cody Gibson, he has got a lot of damage right now. That 7, as he's going to get passed by our champion, Jamie Walker, that 7, he's losing so much time down the straightaway, and there goes his second position in the championship right now.
He will fall down to 8th in the points. That puts them at a gap of about 4 points. You factor in the bonus points, it is still so close, but it may just swing a small advantage in favor to Tommy Ryan in 4th. But for Ryan Keese, the conversation into tonight was about that the championship had been determined. Everybody else here coming to get a win. The number 100 Chevrolet plays spoiler. We go green from start to finish. He passes 16 trucks en route to do it. Turn number 4 for the final time. Checkered flag and a win at Michigan for Ryan Keese to close out the season. He's the winner of the Pure Michigan 210. Simley McBride run across the line at turn number 4 for the driver of the number 17 Mountain Dew Chevrolet. He locked it up last week at Atlanta. Champion in the United Sim Racing Trucks, Jamie Walker.
Evan, great win for the number 100 Ryan Keese, but I'm looking. Okay, it was a malfunction in the timing and scoring. It looked like the 7 of Cody Gibson.
He's not across the line yet. He's coasting. He
Nope,
may have lost the engine.
He ran out of fuel.
So Cody Gibson, who was in a virtual tie for the 2nd spot in the championship, not only gets into problems, he loses 2 spots. Gabe, we thought it was done at that point. Tommy Ryan gets passed by Simley and McBride. They're tied again. Cody Gibson falls 1 spot and then runs out of fuel with less than 2 miles to go. He will coast across the line in 10th. And in the final race on the season, Cody Gibson will fall to 3rd in the championship unofficially. Tommy Ryan will jump up and take a 2nd in the championship with his 7th top 5 on the series. Ryan Keese, though, he'll celebrate and you can actually drive it into the virtual Gatorade victory lane here at Michigan. Hopefully we'll talk with him and your championship contenders. You see he's joined on the front straightaway by Jamie Walker, who officially entered tonight is your champion. He pulls down and we'll catch up with him as well in the championship victory lane. A whole lot still to come post-race tonight on LSRTV. Encourage you to stick around on iRacing Live. The wrap-up from the Pure Michigan 210 and to close out the inaugural United Sim Racing Truck Series campaign. We'll be right back in just a moment.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
Once its sights are set, nothing can stop the ferocious lion from capturing its prey. Relying on keen senses, lions search patiently before striking with alarming speed. Wait for it. Gotcha, Mr. Piece of Rubbish. He is truly the master of his environment. Do good. Be a lion. What it looks like. Being the best. What it looks like to be a cut up of the...
Our research shows drivers won a league with no
cheating,
kids wrecking me,
admin favoritism, multiple fast repairs,
intentional wrecks.
Drivers we interviewed also won a league with
clean competitive racing, clear-cut rules,
enjoys having all the drivers,
a full field of drivers,
end-of-year cash purse,
follows the rules on a constant basis.
At Domino's TYJ Racing, we listened to the drivers and created a league with high integrity and professionalism just like Domino's Pizza has maintained for the last 55 years. Claim your share of the over $3,000 purse by applying today at Domino'sTYJRacing.com for one of the few remaining Cup car rides or your seat in our action-packed truck series.
Yo, I dropped the 88. Ricky Bobby, shake and bake. Sleeping on it, should've stayed awake, huh?
Truex in the outside, contact made, 56 slides it at a 4, who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Monza is a very historic track. It's been around since the 20s, and it's gone through several permutations since then. We're also bringing forward a number of configurations. So there's chicanes that they've installed since the track's early days. So they can use original, very high-speed configurations of the track where the cars would just blow through where the chicanes are today, or they could use a more modern version. So it's a pretty cool, compelling track. The unique thing about Monza is it has a road course, but it also has a high-speed oval. And that high-speed oval can be run by itself. The Grand Prix course can be run by itself. And they also can be run together in a combined circuit, which is very unique and special in motorsports. This was one of the more challenging projects that we've undertaken. It was essentially building two tracks in one. It took a lot of time and a lot of care was put into it, but we're really happy about the end result and we think that people have a lot of fun driving it.
We're back live at the virtual Michigan International Speedway as the inaugural United Sim Racing Truck Series campaign draws to a close tonight, and the Pure Michigan 210, a very mentally tasked race. There was a lot of strategy, there was a lot of points going on there at the end. Draws to a close and brings it end to what has been an incredible debut season for the USR Truck guys on LSRTV as it all comes down to it and ends tonight. Points have been official. We knew Jamie Walker was your champion coming into tonight's event. We do have official word that Tommy Ryan will take second overall and Cody Gibson will take third overall in the points, but in the time being caught up down in the virtual Gatorade Victory Lane trackside, Gabe, you've caught up with tonight's big race winner, the driver of the 100. David. That's Ryan Keys.
Down here in the Michigan Victory Lane with Ryan Keys. Ryan, there were about 30 different pit strategies I saw tonight being thrown. Yours was the one that worked. Did you have a plan from the beginning to do those kind of the 4 pit stop strategy, or did you kind of adjust it after everybody started pitting?
I pretty much just adjusted there. I was in a battle with Scott Simley, I think that's how you pronounce his name. And he started to pit, and I just, winged it and decided to pit with him. And it turned out to be the right call because I was able to stay up front and not get left in the pack from everybody else that was pitting early.
Yeah, we saw you up at the front a lot tonight. Right before pit stops, really, that was the only unfortunate part. It seemed like every time you got to the lead, the guy in second would immediately pit and short pit in front of you and get the jump on you. Is that what it seemed like?
Yeah, pretty much. I really had to save my tires there towards the end just in case that started to happen. That way I could pull enough of a gap that if that were to happen, then I could pit the next time by and not lose too much ground.
Great win tonight for you, Ryan. You got anybody to thank?
I would like to thank Cody Gibson for allowing me to be a part of this league. It was a really great night. United Sim Racing is doing some kind of winter series. You need to go check it out, UnitedSimRacing.com. It's a great group of guys, really clean racers out there, and want to thank Keys Graphics on board today on the Chevy Silverado, and appreciate all the fans that were watching.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is your winner here at Michigan, Mr. Ryan Keys. Ryan, great win tonight. Now we're going to talk to one of your competitors. Evan,
and it was a second in the points into tonight, and a combination of losing some spots late, the 2 tires making it treacherous conditions, and all the official number 1 point behind in the championship, and it's a 3rd overall in the truck series for Cody Gibson with the 10th place tonight. We've caught up with him down trackside in his pit stall. Cody, a top 10 in tonight's race, so congratulations to that, but on track for what would have been a top 4, a top 5, and you just fall out of that second spot in the points by 1 point in the official numbers. Walk us through this race, though, because there was a lot going on strategy-wise. You elected to go with that 4-stop strategy, but tried 2 tires at the end to give yourself an advantage, and it didn't work out for you at the end. We'll try to catch up with the 7 machine in a moment, Gabe. Cody Gibson, again, a P10 tonight, drops him to 3rd in the points. So while we work on those minor microphone issues with him, I believe you've caught up with a guy that has no problem with the way this one ended. Tommy Ryan came in with what objective? That was to get 2nd in the points. He does it with a top 5 finish by 1 point over Cody Gibson. He was able to snag that number 2 spot in the championship, and it was quite the run, I must say, for Tommy Ryan to get the job done, and you're with him.
Yep, I'm down here on pit road. Tommy Ryan, he had 2nd in the championship. He didn't have it because of the tiebreaker. He had it. He didn't have it, Tommy. You had 2nd in the championship a couple times tonight, and it kind of slipped away. But in the end, Cody Gibson ran out of fuel and ended up with you in the 2nd position. Sum up your season.
Well, as far as tonight, man, it was if you pitted a lap or 2 earlier, you got so much advantage on the guys that pitted a little bit later, and then by the time the next pit stops came around, I didn't really pass any of them. So I was, I knew I was kind of going to watch the next time Cody pitted because I knew that's who I was kind of racing. And I was like, when he pits again, I'm going to pit with him because I can't let him get that advantage again. So he came back around and he pitted, and he took 2 tires. I came off pit road, and I was like, oh man, he took 2 tires. I wonder if that's going to work. And then I was kind of worried about fuel at that point, but the thing just kept coming. And then of course Ryan passed me, and he pitted a lap later and still got me coming off pit road. And I just tried to hang with him, and the tires eventually just gave up. And obviously Cody's 2-tire deal just really bit him hard. But overall, man, the season, what a lot of fun. These guys are really, really clean. It's the best place to hang out Friday and Saturday nights in here, man, for real.
Seems like a good group of guys, huh?
Absolutely. It's and I knew when Cody was putting this series together, it was going to be really good. So, my guys at Unacceptable Racing, we always kind of support what he would do because he's got some brains, man. He knows what's up.
Well, we talked to the number 100, Ryan Keese. He said he had to kind of adjust his pit strategy on the fly tonight. Did you have a strategy going in that you were going to stick to? I know you said when Cody pitted, you were going to pit with him, but before that point, did you kind of have a set strategy before you realized the short pitting was really working?
No, when we took off on the first run, I really wanted to see how many actual laps I could do, and I ran fairly hard on the first run. My teammates, Ricky Hard and James Corhola, they were on a different pit strategy than I was, and they were really trying to stretch the fuel and actually winning on fuel mileage. And at that point, I had already made my bed when I was trying to follow Cody's deal because that's ultimately who I was trying to race. So it was just pretty much run as hard as I could, and then me and Ricky, he was kind of giving me advice on when I should pit, to kind of stay with it. And I was like, man, I just feel like I need to get on pit road as quick as I can to take advantage of the new tires because by the time they equalized me, it was really hard to run somebody down unless they really pissed off the right front or the right rear, and you had to let it cool down a lap. And you guys probably saw Rhett, man, he passed me like I was standing still, man, after I pissed off the right front. I think it was probably about 3 to go or something.
Yeah, we saw a lot of pit strategy working out for some and not working out for others. Tommy, you won last night at Iowa, and tonight you ran up front all night and came home with a fourth place finish. Great way to end the year. Who puts you in this position? I know you said you're race team Unacceptable Racing. Anybody else to thank?
Obviously, my sponsor, Northern Tool and Equipment, Bike Mart, Crown Royal, Diet Coke, Nylobone, Petco Foundation, everybody else on my truck. That's kind of changing a little bit coming up this season. But man, what a lot of fun. I got the best team, man, out there. These guys, I can wheel the thing, but man, Ricky and James, man, they are really the brains when it comes down to pit strategy. They really get it done. And man, if I start trying to do math in my head when I'm trying to drive, man, I'll freaking hit the wall. So hats off to them guys, man. They really help me with these finishes I pull out every week.
Didn't exactly get the championship in either series last night or tonight, but had great finishes, like I said, and he's going to go into the offseason with a lot of momentum going into next year. Tommy, great race tonight, and we'll hope to see you next year. And I believe Evan has caught up with the only man who beat you this year, the champion, 17 of Jamie Walker.
He had it all locked up coming into tonight's race, but officially now he's able to get the job done, and the official point gap is going to be 59 points as Jamie Walker picks up the inaugural United Sim Racing Truck Series Championship. And to officially present him with the championship, I'll pass the mic over to Aaron Bennett with the USR administration team.
Well, congratulations, Jamie Walker, on the inaugural championship in the United Sim Racing Truck Series. On the behalf of United Sim Racing and B&C Lawn and Landscaping Service, we would like to present you with the 2015 championship.
Oh man, thank you. It's an honor to be running with you guys. The caliber of these guys in this field, they're just awesome. I don't know how I pulled this off. I'm thankful I did. I gotta thank the good Lord above and my family, my fiance, my 3 kids. I'm ecstatic right now.
And you were able to breathe, Jamie, coming into this race because it was all locked up, and still a good run. And I feel like tonight's very indicative of your season because a P6, your counterparts in the championship ran in front of you for a lot of it. But I mean, just so consistent. The numbers are crazy. You look at what you did this season, 4 poles with a trip to victory lane, 9 top 5s, 11 top 10s in 12 starts. That's impressive, but with an average start of a 2.2 and an average finish of a 4.3, I mean, you just top 5'd and top 10 them to death. And, you talk about a series that is so difficult to compete in. We saw some absolutely crazy races. We saw a Talladega race where it looked like that was going to really hurt you, and you come right back and you get strong on it. I know it means a lot for you to get this inaugural Truck Series championship. I know you guys got to be satisfied with the way you performed, though, because to go toe-to-toe with these guys and maybe not win all of the races, but to be the constant car inside the top 5 and the top 10, the points matter, and you guys, I mean, you won it by just about 2 races full of points.
Wow, 2 races. I can't, like I said, I can't believe it. the way I run the season, I feel I shouldn't have got it with, like I said, I'm thinking wins will win it, and apparently not. It's the consistency, and I thrive on that. Is top fives, top tens, and try to get any bonus point I can. I thrived early in the season doing that, getting those max bonus points. Either leading the lap, taking the pole, or leading the most laps. I would thrive on trying to do that, getting the bonus points.
Well, you like the bonus points. You got the most bonus points out of anybody over the season at 17. Good run tonight. Let's talk about this race. You started inside of the top two on the outside of the front row. It was the third fastest truck in practice. I mean, there was a lot going on. We had a couple of guys tried the 3-stop strategy. Most people went with a 4-stop strategy. A couple of guys in that group tried 2 tires a couple of times to make up room. Coming into this race, it seemed like you were just mellow and you ran your own race. And for a lot of it, I mean, you were able to stay out of a lot of that chaos there in that 17. And again, just kind of fly under the radar. We were talking a lot about that second place in the points. And next thing we know, you come home with a P6 and you actually grow overall on that championship lead that you had. So I feel like that's almost indicative of what this entire season has been like for you. But what was it like out there behind the wheel?
Well, early in the run, I felt I was, one of the faster trucks, and then something fell off, and I just lost everything. Everybody started ganging up on me, and became a group of trucks. And I said, "Well, I'm not gonna wreck out," so I just backed out of it, let them all go, and just regained my composure, and just slowly picked them off one by one. That was my strategy most of the race.
It's always an exciting thing to win a championship, but when you win the inaugural championship, I would imagine that that's going to be a little bit more sweet, because as this USR gang continues to grow and as this truck series continues to add on seasons, nobody can say that they were the inaugural champion, because you got all of this kicked off. And I know you said that you thought you didn't do that good with all the the consistent finishes with the trip to victory lane and all, going for those wins. But I mean, it's got to be special for you to be the first name to be written down as a champion in these trucks.
Oh yeah, like I said, I'm just ecstatic. I'm lost for words. I don't consider myself a champion. I just consider myself as a competitor, doing my best out there, trying to impress other people so I can get on with other teams and possibly go pro one of these days.
Well, you put on the show that you needed to do tonight, and you got the job done. You look forward now. The United Sim Racing Truck Series is in the books for the remainder of 2015, but there's plenty of stuff with these USR guys. We got Snowplow Truck Series coming up. We got a Frostbite Cup Series over the winter season. You going to be participating in any of those?
I may do a few. I'm going to concentrate more on the Cup car. Unfortunately, their Friday night league I won't be able to run because my work schedule, but I'm going to try and concentrate more on the Cup car, getting setups going on that. But I may make a few appearances on Saturday nights if it's okay with them.
Well, I'm sure the administration team will not object to that. I'm not sure about the other drivers, though, because you did quite a number on them so far this season, Jamie. I know it's been a long road for you, and again, congratulations to get the job done. I know we've talked with you a couple of times over the last couple of weeks. We've brought the cameras with us. But as a culmination through tonight and through the 11 races previous, who made this happen and who allowed you to come here and win a championship? Who do you want to thank?
Of course, Mountain Dew on the side of my truck. That's what keeps me awake to do this kind of racing, keeps me motivated. And of course, my fiance having the patience to let me do this. I mean, most of the time, people like this don't get a chance to race. Spend time with me. Spend time with me. I get lucky. I'm able to race, and my kids are sitting right here beside me, cheering me on. So I'm happy with that.
I think I heard him in the background too, Jamie. Again, congratulations. Thanks for sticking around and chatting with us. I'll let you get back down with the guys and celebrate this one. But again, congratulations from everybody at LSRTV. It was a well-deserved championship. You made it look a lot easier than I'm sure it was. Wish you the best of luck. We'll see what 2016 brings you.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you for coming on and enjoying us with us.
Jamie Walker is your 2015 United Sim Racing Truck Series champion. And Aaron, you still got a copy?
Yes, sir.
I want to talk to you here for a quick moment as somebody from the administration side, but as well from somebody on the driver side of things too. You walk away with a top 5 finish in this race here tonight. You were the Xfinity Series champion. You won that just one night ago on LSRTV too. But from the administration side of things, there are so many leagues in iRacing, especially with the trucks, especially with the Xfinity cars, for you guys to come in here and just get United Sim Racing going, to see how much it has grown. And from my opinion, we see a lot of, young series, and the racing is not that good. I have been thoroughly entertained by the 5 weeks that we've seen on this season. What does that mean to you, and what does that say about you and your administration team for what you guys are doing here?
I don't think it's us as the administration. I think we have a good group of rules that we have. We're trying to instill a couple more rules to try and limit the cautions. I know that's funny to say because tonight went caution free, but for us last week at Atlanta, from me and Cody's perspective, we did not think that was a good performance to have for you guys to broadcast, and to have for people watching the broadcast, especially being on iRacing Live as a brand new thing, as a brand new league starting up. But I think all the credit goes to the drivers. Tommy, Chris, Greg, Cody, James Carhula, everybody that races. Jason Swan wasn't here. Rhett McBride, Joe Dinsmore, everybody that races. I'm just trying to naming them off the top of my head. Just close guys I'm real close with, and we're all good friends. Of course, Mr. Walker winning the championship. That was dominating, and I think real NASCAR needs to go back and look at that consistency. Should pay off and not come down to one race.
He was consistent, and again, 11 top 10s and 12 starts for him. And that's a large topic of conversation in this as well. For you, though, you also get a 4th place in the championship. So you and that number 33 truck as well, extremely consistent and a very good run on the year. I'm sure you would have liked to pick up a checkered flag before it was all said and done, but 4 top 5s and 7 top 10s, very respectable numbers. You guys have a lot of stuff coming up, but I do want to give you the opportunity. Anybody listening in, if they want to get involved with you guys, if they want to get involved in one of the series, where can they go to check you guys out, and how do they get on track?
Well, you can go to UnitedSimRacing.com. We're right there. Just go in there, you sign up. It's through iLeague Race. So if you don't have an iLeague Race account, you register for iLeague Race and you sign up for our series. We run the Friday Night Cup Series, and I know a lot of people don't like the Cup car because it's too loose. We will be playing with the weather to make the car more drivable. If anybody wants that, I'm sure everybody loves a good drivable race car. They got confidence in doing anything they want with it. I know I love a good drivable race car. And then the truck series we got going on Saturday nights. We're going to keep this going with LSRTV. You guys are awesome. And that's going to be a $10 entry fee just to help cover the cost of broadcast. Since wintertime, I'm the sponsor of the league. In wintertime, doing landscaping, there's not much going on. And we're trying to keep some in our pocket. So
there you go.
So thank God. I want to thank my business partner, Garrett Casal. I know he's out there watching. He told me he was going to watch tonight. As a matter of fact, he sent me a message while I was racing saying I was slow and I need to pick up the pace. So we got that going good. So, and I just want to thank him too for letting us do that. So, and I want to thank you guys, everybody, Laura, Gabe, everybody. Thank you guys.
Well, I know it has been definitely fun for us, and we look forward to seeing some more truck series racing over the winter. Aaron, do want to thank you for sticking around and chatting with us again. Thank you for what you guys do and allowing us to be a part of it. Congratulations not only on the good finishing points for you on your Xfinity Championship, but as well to you and Cody for what you guys have built. And we look forward for more of you guys in the future, so we'll see you later.
Yep. Thank you. See you next Saturday, brother.
Aaron Bennett, P5 tonight. He is 4th in the championship, but more importantly, Cody Gibson, the people behind the United Sim Racing Truck Series, UnitedSimRacing.com. All the information can be found there, Gabe. Tonight was not like the nights that we had seen previous. We talk about races that have a whole lot of beating and banging, guys at each other's throats. They're bouncing off each other. They're having fun, but they're clean to the end. Tonight, a completely different kind of chaos. Green all the way, but with all the talking points and everything going on, you wouldn't have thought that a whole lot going on in this race. Ryan Keisto just outsmarted them all. He was the race winner, but a huge congrats to Jamie Walker. You're looking at Kenny Humpy numbers in peak, or you're looking at Alan Bowes numbers in Pro Series so far in comparison to what that 17 did this year in these trucks.
Yeah, the stats from tonight, caution-wise, it was really surprising. That's a really rare thing. Usually you get a few cautions that should have been called, wrecks that, end up on the apron that were, they were out of the way, so they never really got called. These guys, they never really spun around. They never had anybody sideways, nothing controversial, really, just good, clean, hard racing. And the guys who knew how to do pit strategy and knew how to change it up on the fly, they ended up near the front.
It was exciting. Ryan Keese gets the win. JB Walker with the top 10, kind of sentimental there because that was a big part of why he won this championship. At 1 point, the difference between that second spot overall in the championship. Tommy Ryan finishes with 433 points on the year. Cody Gibson with 432 points on the year, despite falling back all the way to P10. Just missed it by 1 point. So barring those late race problems, he probably would have been the second place driver in the championship standings. We got to see the final 5 races of this series, and it was exciting, and we look forward to more United Sim Racing action in the future. But until that point, the inaugural USR Truck Series is in the books, and we will wrap things up here tonight from Michigan on LSRTV. Go to UnitedSimRacing.com. All the information is there. You can sign up for the winter trucks, the winter cup cars as well. A huge thanks to BNC Lawn and Landscaping Service, LLC of Frankfort, Delaware, a professional licensed and insured lawn care service provider providing grass cutting, turf care, bush trimming, mulching, edging, and snow removal services. Email them today and get into contact at bc_lawn_and_landscaping at yahoo.com. And again, UnitedSimRacing.com, the place to be. Until next time, though, on behalf of LSRTV, go to LiveSimRacing.com and Facebook.com/LiveSimRacingTV to get all the up-to-date broadcast information coming up in the next couple of weeks. That does it from Michigan. On behalf of the entire LSRTV team, for myself, Evan Pizzoco tonight, Gabriel Wood, Laura Lost, and a big shout out as well, Andy Kessler, for helping me out on these Saturday nights. We thank you so much for tuning in tonight on LSRTV and iRacing Live. Ryan Keese, the winner, but Jamie Walker, your inaugural 2015 United Sim Racing Truck Series champion, walks away on top.